I'm going to be replacing a chain on a 2004 DL650, and the reason I'm doing it is because something in here with the master link has gotten to be stretched out. So when I put a stretched out part over the back of the sprocket, that makes the rest of the chain much tighter, and when it's in the middle it's very, very loose. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the chain and check the sprockets while I'm at it. Okay, first thing I'm going to do here is remove the sprocket cover, and I've already removed a screw here, a bolt here, and down here. And by the way, you can get to this one down here if you just push down your clutch like that, and you can actually get the screwdriver kind of in there like that, and that'll let you get that off there without taking this off. So I just got one more left here. It's right here. It's just those 3 bolts, and the whole thing just comes off like that. And now you can see the sprocket in here, and this will let you feed the chain in later too by having access to this area. Okay, now I'm inspecting the front sprocket here, and what I can see is that the teeth are still pretty rounded off at the ends. They're not sharpened into little points, and I don't see any sawtoothing throughout the whole length of this sprocket here. So to me this looks like it's in pretty good shape, but I'll do periodic inspections on it to make sure it still looks good. And the back looks to me like it's in about the same condition. I've gone through the whole thing already. So what I'm going to do next here is I'm going to grind off the ends of each one of these rivets here. This is a rivet type chain. So I'm going to get my safety goggles, and this is just a Dremel tool, and I'm just going to grind it while it's on the rear sprocket here so it's nice and stable. And I'm just going to grind off the heads of each one of these. Okay, so here I have a few parts from the breaker and riveting kit. Basically the way you put these together is you put this in there, you drop this whole assembly in there, and you should start seeing the pin come out down the bottom there. So what you want to do is, with the big adjustment, get down to where you got the width of the chain. And then with this small adjustment, it's got smaller threads, so you get more leverage here. That's what you actually want to break the chain with, is turning this right here, this part of the tool, which slides in there. So you just turn it like that, and that squeezes the pin out by squeezing it through here. Okay, so you're going to take this rivet tool here, and you're going to slip it over the chain link. You're going to put the rivet on this side into this hole here, so it slips on like that. Should be nice and snug. And then you want to tighten down the big bolt until your pin is just barely touching this. Okay? And it might be pretty tough, but just keep squeezing. Eventually you'll start to feel it loosen up. The last little section might be a little tough because it's trying to get this end of the rivet through this gap here. But you'll see it pops out on this other side here, and once it's loose, then you're done. So in order to get the length right, I've lined up both the chains together as best I could, and keeping track of you know how much the old one is stretched. And I've determined that it's supposed to line up right here. So I've just taken a Sharpie marker and I've marked it right there, so I know exactly where I'm supposed to grind down and where I'm supposed to cut the chain. I've cut down the chain using the method I showed you previously to cut the chain. I've also gone over the sprockets and cleaned them up nice and shiny. I'm going to go ahead and clean out both sides of this chain. This is the most important spot here in the chain, is these outer edges. That's where the O-rings make connection. That's where the grease gets held in. So I just want to make sure these are nice and clean before I put them on. because they've just gotten dirty over the course of me grinding the metal down, that sort of thing. So I want to make sure they're nice and clean. Even got a little Q-tip, poke that through like that to make sure it's nice and clean. Next thing I'm going to do here is just connect the two pieces of chain together right here. And so I've got the master link right here, if you can see that. And I've already added an O-ring on this side and O-ring on this side, like that. And then I'm gonna put this through one side, bring up the other side, and just connect it like that. So to get this side plate pressed on, I need to assemble the riveting tool like so. The back side of the riveting tool is going to have this slotted side, and that's going to basically fit around the rivets on the back. So that's going to go here. And then I've got basically the largest of the little pins that goes in here. And this is going to go on the other side of the plate, and that's going to allow it. It's going to allow those rivets to travel through all the way to the other side. So that's going to go in here. Sorry, everything's falling apart here. Goes in there, and of course the fine adjustment goes here. Alright, so before you start this, make sure that your back plate is lined up and the slot on the back plate fits over the rivets in the back. And make sure these two holes here, there's one on the other side here, make sure you can actually look through those and see that the middle of the rivet is lined up. And then you're just going to put this in here and turn this like you did before, make sure it stays straight. I can feel a little resistance there, so I think I might have done it. Push a little more. I'm going to go ahead and inspect what I got. Looks good. I'm going to assemble the chain breaker and riveting tool to actually rivet the chain. So this part right here is called the large anvil. It goes on the back side. And I've got the actual riveting tool here, and you can see this one's slightly different because it's got a slight conical shape, and that's going to cause the rivets to expand. It goes in there. And then finally the push bolt goes in here, and it's basically the same operation as before. Use the big bolt, thread down to where your stuff is, and then use the small bolt to actually push it in, and that's going to cause the riveting right there. If you can see it, that's what's going to rivet the chain. You get the tool, you put it on the chain like that. Basically, you're going to come down with the large threaded bolt on the riveting tool until it touches, and then you're going to use the fine thread to squeeze it like so. And you're going to rivet it until it expands. I've already done a top one. You want to rivet it to where it expands and keeps the pen in, but not so much that it actually squeezes the plates together. If you go too far with it, you've actually got a big problem. You've got to undo. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I've got these riveted down now, and I pushed one of them in a little bit too far, crushed it a little bit too far, and I made the link tight. But what I did was I went back with the plate tool, pushed the plate back on a little bit more, and that loosened it back up. So that kind of saved my ass. Make sure when you're riveting the pins that you don't rivet it too far, don't crush it too far, because that's going to make the link not move, and you're going to kind of screw yourself. And I'm pretty much done here. All I'm going to do is just clean up the chain with kerosene, and then I'm going to lube it up. Even though this is a self-lubing chain, basically you want to put some lube on the outside of the chain. That's going to protect the O-rings from UV and basically just provide a barrier between the outside world and those O-rings and the rest of the lube. So you still have to clean and you still have to lube your chain even though it's self-lubing. This is an X-ring chain. O-ring and X-ring both are the same way.